whatever. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Steve Darrow says, Natalia, is that your nickname? Actually, that's your real name.
It's Natalia. It's our official name in passport. Yeah.
So Natasha's the nickname. I asked this question a few years ago, and you had Bill answer for you. That's nice to know. What else is new? I know you were quite young, but what do you remember about the Soviet era?
Oh God, that's worth a big book, and that's sad. That's I remember the long lines in stores. We go and it's nothing there, nothing, and people just have to stay in line to find out. Maybe when they go inside the shop, that would be something to buy, but no. That was like one kind of milk, one kind of butter, one kind of like candies that nobody wants, of course.
And we would watch Russian movies from that period, and you would just
Yeah.
always squeal like, "That's my couch, that's my toaster, that's my TV set." Everything was the same, and you go to other people's apartments, and they have the exact same thing.
Yeah, we were clones. You know, it's just like a stamps from, and you're not allowed to have anything better than others. No choices, no dreams, and even the way you think should be managed, you know.
So I was a Cub Scout with my little blue uniform, my little yellow scarfy thing, and you were a pioneer.
Pioneer.
So you had the little red scarf. And then you, like everybody else, you had to become part of Komsomol. Would you mind just telling them real quick what you told me about when they would have these? We're talking about Soviet times, right? And they would come in and they'd have all these pictures, you know, and they'd have parades, and you had to volunteer your time and all that, and you know, and somebody would get up and talk about the wonders of socialism and how America's nothing but this racist hellhole. And you said it wasn't so much scary as it was just stupid, that just people just laughed at it.
At my age, yes, people, they start to understand that our life is not perfect. We don't have anything to enjoy this life, you know. No food, no good food, no good clothes, and we knew about America, and we knew about different lives there. And in school, you have to go to parade, which is like 9th of October. Not 9th.
Yeah, 11th. The date of the October Revolution, which actually happened in November.
17th.
Yeah, right.
Really, my subconscious is just don't want to remember. But before you go to this parade, you have to sign that you should be there. And they give you flags, and they give you the pictures of the people who is in our government.
All the Politburo people.
Yeah, and you have to go like 5 hours in this parade in a big crowd and say, "Hooray, hooray," every second. And you have to pretend that you're very happy, but nobody was happy. Everybody knew. That's my age. That was, I finished school at 1983. Yeah, at that time, people, they just didn't believe to this. But if we take my parents, they were, and people were, how to say, believed, yeah?
They believed, yeah.
Yeah, they believed.
And
so we just hate it. We just hate these parades, and we have to do it. We have to do it because we are in a school, and in order to have a good marks, we have to do it.
And we would have had the exact same thing if Donald Trump had lost the election. We wouldn't be here now. We'd be out on the streets tomorrow morning with our pictures of Comrade Hillary, and we'd all be marching and talking about how much we love Hillary Clinton, and if we didn't, we would be whipped. And there are like I say, it's just great that she's just taught me so much about things and opened up my mind about a lot of things. And we were talking before about how, okay, so you may not actually be free healthcare and free housing and free university, but they take half of what they take from us, and they actually provide it, and they provide high quality stuff, the education system. And Natasha, because of her father, grew up in Academic City, just outside of Novosibirsk.
Yes.
Which is one of these communities of scientists, right? That and all of those people really believed in it, and they were just doing this brilliant work out there, just brilliant Russian scientists and physicists and all this stuff, working with no money. And I just remember you telling me about how no matter what you think about the politics, you in the Soviet Union, you could be a farm kid from wherever, and if you had talent, they'd send you to university and educate you all the way up, and didn't matter how much money you had and stuff. And then there was the no crime and all of that stuff. So it was. I wouldn't take the deal, but to say that there was nothing, good about it, is I just realized was just wrong. You were telling me about those camps you used to go to, those like the summer events and sporting, like the sporting centers and stuff.
Yes, in school we had summer camps, and children, they go there and spend like almost a month. We have everything: sport, equipment, entertainment. We sing songs around the fire, not fireplace, but
campfire.
Camp. Yeah, that was really great. And that's not just us, people who go to universities, and they have their salaries because they learned there, and they go also to the camps. But that was a different subject. They just help to agriculture, But anyway, that was very romantic time, and that's when you are very young, when you believe in future, when you would like to have a very, very good life, and you are just on a, at the door to go there. But government, they give us opportunity to be ballerinas, ballerinas, artists, or anybody. So we call it like circle. So you can choose what you would like to be, and government paid for this. So we have everything to grow. And to give this country, I mean Russia, to give this country back everything what we learned from. That was not a bad time. That was very, very good.
The and one of the things is it's so hard to get used to here. It's hard for me too, because I'm not very good at it. But there's just so many things that we have to do here. We have to worry about insurance payments. We have to worry about the regulations. In the back room back there, we have to have certain number of signs that are sent by the California State Department of Fascism Control or whatever. And if they're not up, we get fined. And it's just extremely complex. And one last thing, and then we'll do maybe one or two more questions. Then we'll go get our little cat. But, we talked about this a lot, and how it's like it's virtually impossible for us to really understand each other, because your country has been invaded so many times and burned to the ground that Russia always is kind of paranoid about, worried about somebody invading them, because they've had it happen. Napoleon and Hitler and so on. And we, on the other hand, never ever have that happen. So we're a little bit, we can't understand why somebody would be so paranoid about that. But do you want to just tell us just real quick about your grandfather? Because I thought that was very, just, sad.
Yes, nobody from my age, nobody had a grandfathers, because all of them, they die on the war, second war. My grandfather survived because he lived in Vladivostok.
Your father's father.
Yeah, grandfather. My mother's father.
Okay.
And my father's father, he was the first who was thrown to, how to say,
Stop the invasion.
yes.
And
He
no
was
weapons,
25.
nothing.
He was 25, and he lost his life in the first days of war. And my grandmother, she had they have 2 children already, so she go to this war too, and she was in a special command to kill their Germans.
And she did. She was a
did.
sniper, right?
Snipe, yeah.
So her.
She was a legend, and her, the how to say, the command, the team.
The company or whatever.
They become a legend. So we learned it in school, but I didn't know that my grandmother was there.
Yeah, and you had your husband killed in like day 2 of the invasion, and then there's really nothing to live for, so you just go out there and decide, I'm just going to get killed fighting these people, and you end up, But this is the kind of thing where it's like, this is the difference between Russian history and American history. I can talk about my grandfather or my father going over to war or stuff, but it's not the same as having, my grandfather was killed when the Nazis invaded our farm, and burned everything. It's just a whole different thing. The night witches.
Yeah. Remember, I also asked you, did your guys after college they go to army?
Yeah, we were watching. She showed me a film called The Courier. Russian film called The Courier, which was about kind of this kid rebelling against authority, and it was made in the last years of the Soviet Union. And then I said, well, that's okay. So now we've seen your teenager rebelling. So we saw ours. I showed her Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which she'd already seen. But he was talking about, okay, so he's just had this incredible day, and then he's going to college, and somebody's going to some other college, and you said, well, what about Army? And it's like, no, they don't have to go. It's all volunteer. And you said, my God, just so much freedom,
That's so much freedom, yes. And you shouldn't go to Army when you're 18, which is very dangerous place for young guys.
In the Russian Army.
In the Russian
and
Army.
Soviet Army.
Yeah. Because it's like bad camps, okay? That was the children camps, where they try to force you to be a man. But in Russia, people who came back from army, they came real men, They went through the very hard time. And here just did not happen. And also we had a difficult climate.
Yeah, there's that.
So many wars, and the guys, they have to go to the army, and that make Russian people so strong. And we had some strange knowledge about America, but after I met Bill, I know that's not just Bill, of course. I mean,
I'm her second favorite American.
I would like to say that the American people very honest, very clean. They believe in good things, and I think that's the great way to live and to teach your children.
And we went to right after you got here. You got here in September 12th, 2016, and within like a week, we went down to watch the first of the Hillary Trump debates. And everybody there's like every conservative in California was there, so 20 of us or something. And we're watching this debate, and then, Trump starts firing off some things, and everybody's cheering like at a football game or something. And you said, why is everybody cheering? I said, honey, it's important, I mean, this is like the future of the country. And you said something like,
It depends on you.
You really get to decide? Yeah, it's not like all a
really?
joke. It's like, no, it's really happens. And I know I've said this before on the show, but it's like, as it got closer and closer, I didn't think he was going to win. I really did not think he was going to win. And a couple weeks or even a couple days before the election, she said, "So is Hillary going to win this?" I think, honey, I'm pretty sure she is. And it was like, okay, so it's basically not much different than Russia. It's all decided in advance, and it's all about money and power and connections. And then we were over at Daily Wire. I was on the election coverage night, and it just slowly, all these needles started to move towards Trump, and then by the time the night was over, we walked out of there, and it was I was as astonished as she was. It's like, so it turns out there's a little freedom left in the old girl.
Do you remember we went to their concert where the guy who was singing, he said, like, we can't influence on American talent.
Yeah, so we try to go to Russian entertainers, and there's this one guy's a Russian comedian. He's a singer, comedian, and stuff. And I think I talked about that. I think I did one of those little things you held up the iPhone, and I mentioned I just spent 2 hours in there listening to people laugh at somebody in a language I didn't understand. I was talking about the timing and all the rest of it, but this Russian guy was telling a group of American Russians living in America. He said, so now we Russians are being accused of influencing the American election, which is pretty amazing, really, because we don't even get to influence our own elections.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. And if any journalists outside on the streets ask who will gonna win, people just like laugh, That's...
I'm going to answer one more Facebook question, and then we're going to have to get you back here. I'm just going to make you come. I demand it. I forbid it. It doesn't actually work the way it used to.